We asked both candidates in Georgia to join us this morning. Secretary Kemp declined, but we are joined by the Democrat, Stacey Abrams. Ms. Abrams, thank you for joining us this morning. We saw the Georgia Democratic Party call that not only a lie, this new investigation call from Secretary Kemp, but they're calling it an abuse of power. Do you think Secretary Kemp deliberately cooked up the charge to help his campaign?
I do. In fact, I think he cooked up the charge because he realizes once again he has left 6 million voters' information vulnerable. And this has happened twice before. This is another failure of his leadership, and he recognizes that if he got caught 2 days before the election having exposed so many Georgians, he would lose. And so he did what he does always, blame someone else for his mistakes.
That's a pretty serious charge, abuse of power right there. I also want to ask you about the racist robocall. It has been denounced by Secretary Kemp. Do you accept that repudiation?
I think it's a little late for him to repudiate racist remarks, given that he stood with someone wearing an anti-Islam T-shirt. He refused to denounce the same man earlier who accused black veterans of not being people who should support our country. I think, unfortunately, Secretary Kemp has not only abused his power, he's failed to do his job. And you don't deserve a promotion when you do not serve the people you've been hired to serve. Just this week, he was hit twice by federal lawsuits where the federal judges agreed with voters that he had failed to do his job, allowing them to cast their ballots. You don't deserve a promotion when you fail to do your work.
Are you concerned these racist appeals are going to work?
What I'm concerned about is that his overarching architecture of voter suppression, of ostracization, of demeaning and dehumanizing people, that can cause people to think that their votes don't count, which is why we've been so aggressive about telling people the best antidote to his antics is to actually turn out and engage. And we've seen unprecedented voter turnout because people understand that education and jobs and access to affordable health care are on the ballot this year, and that I'm the only candidate with a comprehensive plan for how we move our state forward together.
How about President Trump? In Macon, he called you part of the extreme far left. He said if you get elected, the Second Amendment is gone, and you would turn Georgia into a sanctuary city for criminal aliens. Your response?
My response is that he is completely wrong. Number one, I believe in the Second Amendment. I know how to shoot a gun, but I believe in responsible gun ownership. And as we've seen in recent weeks, in fact, over the last few years, it is time for us to have common sense gun safety legislation. I support the fact that the federal government needs to take action on immigration. But in the state of Georgia, my responsibility will be to protect all people in our state. And most importantly, I want to expand Medicaid because we have failed in the state of Georgia to do what's right by all people. 500,000 Georgians stand to get access to health care, and we can save 20 rural hospitals in our state. These are important core values that all Georgians share. Education, jobs, access to health care. There's nothing radical about this except that we have Republican leaders who do not want to do that job.
On the Second Amendment, you have supported legislation that would call on people to turn in their assault weapons.
I've supported legislation that responded to massacres across our country and said that we have to take action on assault weapons. As I said yesterday, and will always say, we want to introduce legislation to start the conversation, but the legislative process often leads to common results where people can work together on how we achieve our goals. I'm open to any conversation that will make our community safer, but I think we have to begin with the fundamental premise that assault weapons do not belong on our streets.
If you win, you'll be the first black governor of Georgia, America's first African-American woman governor. What kind of message would that send?
I think it will send an incredibly strong message that the face of leadership is evolving in the United States. That doesn't mean anyone is being pushed out. It simply means that more are being added to the conversation. And I hope that I'm just the first of many. More people who stand up and understand that our voices and our votes matter, and that we can not only cast those ballots, we can stand for office.
Stacey Abrams, thanks very much for your time this morning. And I should say once again...
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We should say that we did invite Secretary Kemp on the program. He declined. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click...